It would be great if life never tempted us, and we could just go through each day, doing the right thing without any challenges. But that's not how the world works, and it's not who we are. If we're left to ourselves, given enough opportunities, we'll eventually make mistakes, we'll lose our way. That's why successful people have what Marcus Aurelius called epithets for the self, or what General Mattis referred to as flat-ass rules. Know what you believe in and stick to it, he advised. Set boundaries and stick to them. Stoicism, in theory, is a philosophy. As a practical approach, it provides a set of rules to live by. The Stoics believe that life is complicated and, more importantly, exhausting. So, creating rules helps us stay on the right path, ensuring that we don't let the complexity and nuances of each situation lead us to compromise our high standards. In this video, we are going to detail 12 Stoic rules for life. Rule number 1, own the morning. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work. As a human being, I'm going to do what I was born for, or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm. Marcus Aurelius. One of the most relatable moments in Marcus Aurelius's Meditations is the internal debate he has with himself at the beginning of Book 5. It's a familiar struggle that many of us have faced, the desire to stay warm under the covers versus the necessity of getting out of bed. This relatable moment is not just ordinary, it's impressive. Marcus wasn't compelled to get out of bed, he didn't have to do anything. Some of his predecessors, like Tiberius, practically abandoned their duties for a secluded island. Marcus's adopted great-grandfather, Hadrian, spent minimal time in Rome. As an emperor, Marcus had various privileges, yet he insisted on rising early and getting to work. But why? Marcus understood that conquering the morning was crucial for overall success in the day and in life. Although he might not have heard the saying, the early bird gets the worm, he knew that starting the day well was half the battle. This raises the question, what does winning the morning actually entail? What should one do after waking up early? From the Stoics, we learn 3 habits that contribute to a successful morning: journaling, taking a walk, and engaging in deep work. Now, let's explore each of these habits individually. The Stoics were avid supporters of journaling, something you might have heard if you're a daily Stoic subscriber. Whether it was Epictetus the slave, Marcus Aurelius the emperor, or Seneca the power broker and playwright, these 3 men with vastly different lives shared a common habit: journaling. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations is a compilation of personal self-help notes never meant for public eyes, and Epictetus urged his students to jot down their thoughts and reflect on their actions daily. He described the Stoic as someone who keeps watch over himself as over an enemy lying in ambush. In more recent times, notable figures like Oscar Wilde, Susan Sontag, W.H. Auden, Queen Victoria, John Quincy Adams, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Virginia Woolf, Joan Didion, John Steinbeck, Sylvia Plath, Mary Chestnut, Brian Koppelman, Anais Nin, Franz Kafka, Martina Navratilova, and Ben Franklin, among others, were all avid journalers. This habit is time-tested and research-backed. Journaling clarifies the mind, offers space for quiet reflection, provides a record of thoughts over time, and prepares you for the day ahead. Starting the day with a journal is considered one of the most effective and proven habits. The Stoics valued stillness. Doing your best work requires a calm mind, and it's paradoxical that putting the body in motion is perhaps the most effective way to achieve this. Runners and cyclists often emphasize this truth as if it were an undeniable equation, a proven fact. However, you don't need intense physical exertion to achieve what the Stoics aimed for. We should take wandering outdoor walks, Seneca suggested, so that the mind might be nourished and refreshed. It's as simple as taking a stroll in the parking lot before entering the office, walking around the neighborhood, or going to the local coffee shop and back. After a brief walk, you'll find yourself in the perfect headspace to concentrate on what's in front of you like a Roman, advised Marcus Aurelius. Do it like it's the last and most important thing in your life. Marcus, influenced by his stepfather Antoninus, learned the art of working long hours, how to stay dedicated. In his Meditations, Marcus praised Antoninus for even scheduling bathroom breaks to ensure long, uninterrupted work periods. Modern examples echo this wisdom. Ryan Holiday dedicates 2 to 3 hours of deep work when he arrives at his office. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, shared on the Daily Stoic podcast that he reserves 2 sacred hours in the morning for writing. As Holiday explains, while it may not seem like a lot, the Stoics recognize that good work is achieved through small steps. It's not a small thing, but good work is created in small steps. Days can easily slip away from us. Well-intentioned plans can crumble, and our willpower can fade. Therefore, it's crucial to prioritize important tasks and establish habits of tackling them early. As the saying goes, well begun is half won. So, get started. Take action, make a commitment to wake up 30 minutes earlier tomorrow than your usual time. Plan how you'll spend that extra time, whether it's reading, journaling, exercising, meditating, or any other activity you find valuable. Rule number 2, only focus on what's in your control. The chief task in life is simply this, to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Epictetus. The fundamental principle in Stoic philosophy is distinguishing between what we can change and what we cannot, between what we have influence over and what we do not. In practical terms, consider sports as a clear example. An athlete cannot control whether the opposing team cheats or if referees always make the right calls. They have no say in whether people in the media are well informed or take controversial positions just for the sake of it. They also can't control the weather or the conditions on the playing field. So, what's left within their control? One thing, their own performance. As Marcus Aurelius emphasized, it doesn't matter what others say or think, what matters is what you do. You have control over how you play. Not whether you win. You have control over how you play. Not if people respect you. You have control over how you play. Not if the crowd cheers you on. You have control over how you play. That's it. Direct your attention to what you can control. Nothing else. Implement this practice. Take 5 minutes to reflect on your current problems. Separate them into 2 categories. 1, what is within your control, and 2, what is beyond your control. Now, concentrate only on what's within your control. Rule number 3, don't suffer imagined troubles. We suffer more from imagination than from reality. Seneca. What's on your mind right now? Your job. Your family. Your future. Your health. It's not unreasonable to have concerns. Negative events could be associated with any of them, like a car accident, an economic downturn, or an unexpected health diagnosis. Now, let's rewind the clock. Think about a month, a year, or even 5 years ago. What were you worried about then? Probably many of the same things, right? How many of those worries actually happened? As Mark Twain cleverly put it, I am an old man and have known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. And even if some of those worries did come true, did the worrying prevent them? Clearly not. Seneca captured this sentiment perfectly with a concise statement, we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. So, as Seneca advised, what I advise you to do is not be unhappy before the crisis comes. We are in the habit of exaggerating, imagining, or anticipating sorrow. Resist anticipating sorrow. Don't let anxiety and worry take over. Don't let your concerns become larger than what might actually happen. Keep imagination in check and stay grounded in reality. Put it into practice. The next time you feel stressed or anxious, remind yourself, stay in the present. Focus on what you can control. Rule number 4, treat success and failure the same. To accept it without arrogance, to let it go with indifference. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius used an intriguing metaphor. He likened individuals, whether an emperor, a soldier, or anyone else, to a rock. Throw the rock up in the air, he said, and it loses nothing by coming down and gained nothing by going up. The rock remains unchanged. Consider Marcus's own life through this analogy. He was an ordinary man chosen by Hadrian to become emperor. Yet, he could have just as easily been dethroned at any moment, and nearly was late in his reign. Did these circumstances alter who Marcus was? Did they make him better or worse than others? No. He remained the same rock. And so do you. Whether your day starts with a promotion or ends with a firing, you remain unchanged. Whether you win the lottery or file for bankruptcy. Whether you address a crowd of thousands or struggle to get your calls returned. The key is how we respond to these twists of fate, as illustrated in Kipling's classic poem, If you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two impostors just the same, you are the same. Success or failure, highs and lows, they don't alter your core. They exist outside of you. These are indifferent events. You stay the same. Practice this, approach everything that life throws at you today, the highs and the lows, in the same way. Rule number 5, just do one thing every day. Well-being is attained by little, and nevertheless is no little thing itself. Zeno. Seneca wrote numerous letters to his friend Lucilius. Although we know little about Lucilius, we understand he was from Pompeii, a Roman knight, served as the imperial procurator in Sicily, later became its governor, and owned a country villa in Ardea. Despite his success, it appears Lucilius grappled with familiar challenges: anxiety, distraction, fear, temptation, and self-discipline. Having a friend like Seneca, who cared about him, told him the truth, and offered advice, was undoubtedly beneficial. One of Seneca's valuable pieces of advice to Lucilius was surprisingly simple. Each day, he advised, you should acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes, as well. 1 gain per day. That's the key. This approach helps overcome procrastination tendencies by emphasizing that consistent, gradual, humble, and persistent efforts lead to improvement. Whether it's your business, a book, your career, or your health, progress comes from small efforts day after day. Arnold Schwarzenegger, a multi-talented individual and a Stoic enthusiast, shared advice in a video for those navigating the challenges of the pandemic: just as long as you do something every day, that is the important thing. Whether it's advice from Seneca or Arnold, the truth holds. 1 thing a day adds up. 1 step at a time is all it takes. You just need to achieve one small win. The sooner you start, the better you'll feel and be. Practice this. Select a project you're working on or wanting to start. Identify the smallest step you can take to move that project forward, and go complete that step. Rule number 6, make beautiful choices. If your choices are beautiful, so too will you be. Epictetus. Epictetus claimed that the essence of beauty lies in beautiful choices. Although he likely referred more to genuine human behavior than physical attractiveness, the concept applies to both. Consider a striking woman whose beauty stems from vanity and self-obsession. She may become less attractive once her character is known. Similarly, a man with impressive muscles built through steroids and neglect of other aspects may not be truly impressive. Beauty is intricately linked to intention and the choices that shape it. If you aspire to improve your appearance, a meaningful starting point lies not only in your choices but also in your motivations and intentions. Decide to rise early for a run, not just for a mirror reflection, but to witness your children's growth. Apply makeup for confidence and personal time, not merely to conceal flaws. Hire a trainer to learn discipline in weightlifting or boxing, not just for someone to dictate your actions. Recall the Stoic principle of distinguishing between what is within our control and what is not. While obstacles may arise, nothing can prevent you from taking the first step. Nothing can hinder you from making a beautiful choice for yourself today. Practice this, whenever faced with a choice today, whether to walk for 15 minutes or take an Uber, to engage in a difficult conversation or opt for an email, to take responsibility or hope it goes unnoticed. Choose the more challenging option, the one that pushes you the most. Rule number 7, constantly ask, is this necessary? Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? Marcus Aurelius. In the current moment, unlike any other in recent memory, we are compelled to reassess various aspects of our lives, our jobs, finances, and even the places we call home. Many systems, whether governmental, cultural, or familial, are under scrutiny as we question their resilience in the face of the immense pressure and stress imposed by the global pandemic. One can envision Marcus Aurelius engaging in a similar introspection. Having endured a plague himself, he spent years away from Rome with the army. In his tent, armed with his journal, the pages that would later become meditations, he engaged in a conversation with himself. A particularly valuable passage from this reflection resonates with our current experiences of stress and uncertainty. Most of what we say and do is not essential, he wrote. If you can eliminate it, you'll have more time, and more tranquility. Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? This advice from Marcus Aurelius provides a pertinent guide for navigating our lives amid stress and uncertainty. By questioning the necessity of our actions and choices, we can potentially create more time and cultivate a sense of tranquility in the midst of challenging circumstances. There has never been a more opportune time to reflect on your life and inquire about the things you do, say, and think. Is this necessary? Is this essential? Why am I doing this? What would happen if I changed? These questions are worth asking yourself every day, every moment. Evaluate how much or how little you work, where you live, the dynamics of your marriage or relationships, the political policies you support, your spending habits, your goals, your schedule, the contents of your junk drawer, and the thoughts running through your head. Recognize that most of what we do is not essential. It's often instinctual or imposed by others. Much of it may not be working for us, and changing might lead to a better and happier life. Recall Marcus's advice, if you seek tranquility, do less. Practice this, take a piece of paper and create 2 columns. On the left, list all the things swirling in your mind competing for your time and attention. On the right, categorize each item as necessary or unnecessary. Cross out all the unnecessary items on the page and in your life. Rule number 8, love your fate. Do not seek to have events happen as you want them, but instead want them to happen and your life will go well. Epictetus. The great German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche described his formula for human greatness as amor fati, a love of fate. It means wanting nothing to be different, not in the past, not in the future, not for all eternity. It's not just about enduring what is necessary but loving it. The Stoics were familiar with and embraced this attitude. 2,000 years earlier, Marcus Aurelius expressed a similar sentiment: a blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. Life inevitably brings challenges. As Seneca remarked, fortune behaves as she pleases. Seneca's own life served as proof. Health issues disrupted his career, an emperor exiled him, and he had to overcome these setbacks repeatedly. Seneca recognized that most of these events were beyond his control. The only aspect he could influence was how he chose to perceive and respond to them. He chose to see them as opportunities, to use them, and to color these events with his own perspective. This philosophy encourages us to not merely endure life's challenges but to embrace them with love and turn them into opportunities for growth and transformation. Jocko Willink, in his widely recognized speech, outlines how we can adopt a perspective of seeing everything that happens to us as ultimately good. Oh, the mission got cancelled. Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted. Good. We can keep it simple. Didn't get promoted. Good. More time to get better. Didn't get funded. Good. We own more of the company. Didn't get the job you wanted. Good. Go out, gain more experience, and build a better resume. Got injured. Good. Needed a break from training. Got tapped out. Good. It's better to tap out in training than tap out on the street. Got beat. Good. We learned. Unexpected problems. Good. We have to figure out solutions. This perspective aligns with Stoic principles and serves as a prescription for leadership, entrepreneurship, and resilience. Life presents challenges, and it is up to us to decide whether to let them bury us or turn them into opportunities. We have the choice to confront difficulties head-on, saying good despite their initial negativity. These are our choices, and making the right choice, seeing the bad things as ultimately good, is what we must do. It's especially crucial because others depend on us, we believe in our ability to turn things around, and we have only one life to live. Amor fati. Practice this, today, whenever something bad happens, respond with good. Then, explore how you can turn it into a positive. Rule number 9, speak with the dead. The founder of Stoicism, Zeno, received a cryptic piece of advice when he was a young man: to live the best life, you should have conversations with the dead. Does this mean talking to ghosts and goblins or spending time in a cemetery? No, not at all. The oracle was referring to reading. Through books, we engage in conversations with people who are no longer alive. While their bodies may have decayed, in the pages of a book, they come alive. Harry Truman, one of the greatest readers in the White House, spoke of historical figures as if they were friends and neighbors with whom he had recently discussed current affairs. When Truman said, "Not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers," it resonated deeply. The daily Stoic Read to Lead challenge was built around this advice, treating it as if Truman was still present, not having passed away for nearly 50 years. This illustrates the beauty and power of books. They bring the past to life and, as Seneca said, annex all ages into your own. Books allow you to be in the same room as Lincoln, chat with Shakespeare, and be inspired by Portia Cato. Far from being scary, this is incredibly reassuring because it means you have permanent access to the wisdom of the wisest men and women who ever lived. It's also an incredible opportunity to learn, ask questions, and be taught. If there's anything scary about this, it's that millions of people decline to do it every day, rejecting this superpower. They choose to be illiterate, ignoring the wisdom of the dead in favor of the chattering voices on their television and Twitter feed. Be smart, be brave, talk to the dead. Put it into practice, read for 30 minutes today and every day. Rule number 10, be tough on yourself and understanding to others. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Marcus Aurelius. Cato despised excess, finery, and luxury, viewing indulgence in such things as weakness and stupidity. Surprisingly, his brother held less strict views on these matters. Cato, however, didn't condemn him, instead, he loved and even worshipped him. It's crucial to recognize that Stoics maintain strict standards and have firm opinions on what is right and wrong. However, there's a significant caveat: we must also be understanding and forgiving of those who, as Marcus Aurelius notes, have been cut off from truth. Ernest Renan, in Marcus Aurelius's insightful biography, sheds light on the right approach to this. Be strict with yourself, but least reproachful of others, and complain least. The most heroic soul is the one that has nothing to complain of, as Cato did not. Nevertheless, we must not boast, and, above all, not say to ourselves, I am just, I am pure, I am holy, and others are not. The consequence of austere philosophy might have produced stiffness and severity. But here it was that the rare goodness of the nature of Marcus Aurelius shone out in all its brilliancy. His severity was confined only to himself. That's exactly the key. Your standards are for you. Marcus's rule was to be strict with yourself and tolerant with others, a principle exemplified in Cato's relationship with his brother. In dealing with individuals who live in a way that is far from Stoic, we must navigate the balance. While there are consequences for their actions, especially if they are unjust, it is unnecessary to completely cast them out or deem them as worthless or awful. We can still engage with them, share moments such as holidays, and allow them into our lives in a manner that aligns with our boundaries. Accepting that people may see things differently and allowing them to live as they wish is possible, as long as those choices do not harm others. In essence, we can hate the sin while still loving the sinner. What they do and how they affect things is beyond our control. However, the good we choose to recognize in them is within our control. Put it into practice. The next time you feel disappointed or on the verge of judging someone, pause and redirect your focus to look for the good in them. Rule number 11, turn obstacles upside down. Our inward power, when it obeys nature, reacts to events by accommodating itself to what it faces, to what is possible. It needs no specific material. It pursues its own aims as circumstances allow, it turns obstacles into fuel. As a fire overwhelms what would have quenched a lamp. What's thrown on top of the conflagration is absorbed, consumed by it, and makes it burn still higher. Marcus Aurelius. One way to navigate life is by avoiding difficult things. You can shut your eyes and ears to unpleasantness, opting for the easy path and steering clear of challenges. The alternative is the Stoic way, which involves not just avoiding hardship but actively seeking it out. In the novel, Memoirs of Hadrian, Marguerite Yourcenar has Hadrian share his philosophy with young Marcus Aurelius about learning from life's adversity and unpleasant experiences. Hadrian states, whenever an object repelled me, I made it a subject of study, ingeniously compelling myself to extract from it a motive for enjoyment. If faced with something unforeseen or a near cause for despair, like an ambush or a storm at sea, after all measures for the safety of others had been taken, I strove to welcome this hazard, to rejoice in whatever it brought me of the new and unexpected. Thus, without shock, the ambush or the tempest was incorporated into my plans or my thoughts. Even in the throes of my worst disaster, I have seen a moment when sheer exhaustion reduced some part of the horror of the experience, and when I made the defeat a thing of my own by being willing to accept it. While the specific dialogue between Hadrian and Marcus in Memoirs of Hadrian is fictional, the philosophy conveyed aligns with the Stoic principles found in Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. Marcus writes about how obstacles can be seen as fuel for progress, stating, "The impediment to action advances action, what stands in the way becomes the way." This approach to the world is not only beautiful but also well suited for unpredictable and stressful times. Laura Ingalls Wilder, who faced a hardscrabble existence, exemplifies this Stoic optimism. Despite enduring challenging environments, she thrived by recognizing the good in everything. As she later wrote, "There is good in everything if only we look for it." Avoiding difficulty would mean retreating from life and hiding in ignorance, leaving one vulnerable to crisis. Instead, following Hadrian's advice, we can welcome hazards, rejoice in the unexpected, and even turn failure into a meaningful experience by choosing to own it. Learning from unpleasantness and softening our aversions is part of this Stoic mindset. Although not easy, this approach is fitting because we are not naturally drawn to obstacles. Hence, we must work on finding ways to appreciate them. This is the Stoic way. Put it into practice. Face today with the spirit of Laura Ingalls Wilder. Look for the good in everything. Rule number 12, remember, you are dying every day. This is our big mistake, to think we look forward toward death. Most of death is already gone. Whatever time has passed is owned by death. Seneca. It's common to perceive death as a distant event in the future. Even for those who acknowledge their mortality, the tendency is to view death as a fixed point on the horizon, a date toward which we are steadily moving, either slowly or quickly depending on our age and health. Seneca challenged this perspective, considering it a flawed viewpoint that fosters unhealthy habits and living. Instead, he proposed that death is a continuous process, unfolding in the present moment. According to him, we are dying every day. As you read this, time is passing, irretrievable and belonging to death. This realization is potent. Death is not a distant entity, it is here with us now. It manifests in the ticking second hand of the clock and the descending sun. Every passing moment is claimed by death. So, what should we do? Seneca's answer is clear: live. Seize the present, leaving nothing unfinished, and act while time still belongs to us. Memento Mori. Put it into practice. Meditate for 5 minutes on your mortality, reflecting on the brevity of your existence. Then, as Marcus Aurelius advised, let the awareness of your mortality influence everything you do, say, and think.